The shocking truth. Why intellectuals avoid social life. Unlocking Schopenhauer's secret. In a world hidden behind curtains of light and laughter, a dark truth looms over the thriving parties and crowded gatherings. What if I told you that the brightest minds, those who plunge into the mysteries of existence, tearing apart the very fabric of thought, are terrified of the very people they share ideas with? Yes, it's true. Beneath their clever smiles lies a deadly fear of social interaction, a chilling consequence of their brilliant insights into human nature. Imagine a room filled with flickering shadows, the air thick with unspoken words and secrets. These intellects, sharp as daggers, feel the weight of their thoughts that bind them in an invisible prison. They gaze into the abyss of human behavior, terrified by the harsh reflections staring back. The moment they step into a crowd, a suffocating wave of anxiety washes over them. They tremble at the thought of being misunderstood, of their thoughts misconstrued. Their hearts race, thumping like a drum echoing ominously in the background, as they try to figure out how to navigate this bizarre facade of social life. Each laugh they hear feels foreign, like a discordant note in a symphony they once knew by heart. While others engage in light banter, these thinkers stand awkwardly on the sidelines, the lump in their throat growing heavier with every interaction. They watch as conversation flows like a river, wondering if they will be swept under or drown in the chaos of misunderstanding. It's chilling and intoxicating. But hear us where it gets really wild. What if I told you that many would rather dive into the abyss of solitude than step into the spotlight of social circles? Yes, the highest of ideals often push them into a corner, leaving them gasping for air, trapped by their own brilliance. What is it that drives them deeper into isolation? Is there a haunting truth lurking behind Schopenhauer's disdain for society that we need to explore? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon, and while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. And as the clock ticks, the air grows heavier with a looming conflict. Shadows stretch across the walls, flickering with an unsteady light, a reminder that danger is always close. Will they uncover the roots of their fears, or will they be forever haunted by the silent screams of their intellect? The stage is set. The question hangs in the air like a pall. Can they unlock the mystery before it's too late? The room pulsed with tension as the clock struck midnight. In the dim light, shadows seemed to twist, curling around the figures huddled in tense clusters. Conversation buzzed like electricity, the hum of chatter morphing into a cacophony of muffled doubts and hidden fears. But this night was different. Something dreadful lurked beneath the surface, an unseen force challenging the very foundations of their intellect. Arold, a gifted philosopher with a reputation for daring ideas, stood at the edge of the gathering. He looked on, heart pounding, acutely aware of the disdainful whispers that rippled through the crowd. Each snicker felt like a knife, slashing through the fragile fabric of his confidence. He clutched his drink, the glass trembling in his hand, his mind a tempest of thoughts spiraling into chaos. Why do I even try? He muttered under his breath, feeling his chest tighten. The crowd stirred with laughter, but their joy felt like mockery, drowning him in waves of isolation. He thought of Schopenhauer's disdain, but tonight the philosopher's words gnawed at him. Was it true that society was a cruel joke? That the vibrant lights of camaraderie masked the harsh truths of existence? Just then, a figure crossed the room. Jillian, known for her acerbic wit and piercing intellect. She had always fascinated him, her presence magnetic yet intimidating. As she approached, Arold's breath quickened. Would she recognize his struggle? Or would she too add to the chorus of judgment lurking in the air? Lost in thought, Arold? She asked, a hint of mischief in her eyes. More like lost in fear, he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. He couldn't shake the feeling that the shadows pressed closer, waiting for him to falter. Her laughter rang out, bright and almost jarring. Fear is a choice. It binds you, suffocates your brilliance. Break free. But could he? The weight of every unspoken word loomed like an anvil. He wanted to scream, to unravel the systematic oppression of expectation that constricted him. How do I break free? The words escaped him in a frantic rush. Gillian's expression softened, her gaze penetrating. Embrace the chaos. The abyss might be daunting, but it holds the key to understanding. As she turned, heading into the throng, Harold stood frozen, the pulse of humanity swirling around him. A flicker of hope ignited a possibility that maybe he could dive into the chaos rather than stand on the shores of anxiety. If truth was found in the depths, was it time to leap? He took a step forward, heart racing, ready to plunge into the swirling mass of thoughts and feelings. But just then, a chilling shout echoed through the room. Time is up. A claustrophobic silence swallowed the gathering, the laughter dying as if the very air had drained from the space. Eyes darted nervously, fearful of this unexpected interruption. Harold felt the hairs on the back of his neck prickling, a primal instinct screaming that something was terribly wrong. Before anyone could react, the lights flickered violently, plunging them into complete darkness for a heartbeat that felt like an eternity. Panic rippled through the crowd. He felt a rush of cool air and a whisper that sent shivers down his spine. Get out. Now. Harold's heart thudded as the crowd surged, desperate to escape. But where? And why had this nightmare unfolded? This shadowed truth whispered of calamity yet to come, and in that moment, Harold understood they were not just fighting for connection but for survival. The exit seemed impossibly distant, the walls closing in. What awaited them in the darkness? As he stumbled forward, the night felt far from over, but what if this was just the beginning of a far deeper conspiracy? One that could unravel everything they thought they knew? Harold's heart raced as he pushed through the mass of bodies, fear gripping him tight. He could feel the heat of panic rising around him. Voices grew chaotic, cries for help intermingled with frantic shouts. The darkness was thick, a tangible thing wrapping around him, squeezing the air from his lungs. He couldn't see anything, but he felt the pressure of bodies against him, a tide of chaos. Stay close, someone shouted. Was it Gillian? He couldn't tell. He forced himself to breathe, to focus. In the chaos, every desperate shout felt real, yet surreal. It wrapped around him like a cocoon, isolating him even as the crowd lunged for safety. Harold's grip on his glass loosened. It shattered underfoot, the sound biting through the murmur. He felt the shards beneath his feet, a sharp reminder of the fragility of this moment. Where are the lights? Someone yelled, panic-laden words echoing in Harold's mind. It didn't matter. The shadows were alive, feeding on fear and uncertainty. He couldn't let them win. But the question loomed large: how to escape? Then, from somewhere in the darkness, a laugh cut through the noise, sharp and unnerving. Is this where you find your enlightenment? A melodic voice mocked. Harold's blood ran cold. It couldn't be Gillian. He called out, searching for any sign of her. Yet even his voice felt muffled, swallowed by the thick dark. Embrace the chaos, the echo of her words whispered in his ear, taunting him. The room began to swirl, flashes of light flickering like fireflies desperately trying to be seen. But each flicker revealed only specters, phantoms of uncertainty haunting him. What if embracing the chaos just led to deeper despair? He pushed forward, propelled by urgency, when suddenly a hand grasped his arm. Harold, where are you? It was Gillian, her voice strained. I'm here. His breath came in shuddering gasps, relief flooding him momentarily before dread settled back in. What's happening? I don't know, she replied, her grip tightening. But we need to find a way out. Just then, a thunderous crash echoed from the back of the room, followed by a scream that turned Harold's stomach. This chaos was spiraling out of control, and he could sense the night transforming into something sinister, something darker than their philosophical debates. We can't stay here, Harold urged, tugging her towards the faintest glimmer of light that seemed to pulse like a beacon. Wait, Jillian pulled him back, her eyes wide with urgency. We can't just run blindly. What if it's a trap? Then what do we do? Sit here and wait for whatever is lurking in this darkness to make its move? He could feel his pulse quickening again. The walls were no longer just walls. They were barriers intent on keeping them trapped forever. Harold, listen. Her voice dropped, becoming earnest and desperate. We need to think. What if we've stumbled into something bigger? Something orchestrated before she could finish. A blinding light erupted, jarring Harold back, illuminating the room in a harsh glow. Panic grips him, but he couldn't fully grasp it as scenes unfolded in rapid succession before his wide eyes. Figures cloaked in black loomed near the edges. Fear flickered in their stance, faces obscured. From the center of the room emerged a man, his silhouette familiar yet unsettling. I've been waiting for you both, he said, his voice smooth like silk but laced with menace. A chill raced down Harold's spine as realization hit. This wasn't just about a room full of thinkers. They had stepped into a trap, the beginnings of an intellectual war that might not just unravel their understanding but their very lives. Who are you? Jillian demanded, the strength behind her voice wavering. The man stepped closer, shadows swirling around him, and smiled. I'm the key to understanding your greatest fears and your greatest truths. What truth? Harold's heart dropped as the weight of impending terror settled upon him. Were they ready for whatever lay ahead? As darkness surged back toward them, Harold braced himself. This wasn't over. The real nightmare was just getting started. The man's smile twisted into something sinister, and Harold felt the choking grip of dread tighten around his throat. What do you want from us? He managed to force out, his voice shaking as he stood there, powerless against the man who had become an embodiment of their fears. The crowd was restless, their panic palpable. Shadows quivered and danced in the flickering light, blending with the muted forms of their watchers. Who were these cloaked figures? Why did they seem both terrified and enthralled? Simple, the man replied, a trace of glee in his voice. I want you to confront the truths that lie within you, truths you've buried under the weight of intellectual camaraderie. Harold's mind raced. Was this some form of performance? A cruel joke? But the atmosphere felt too electric, too raw. A revelation sitting on the precipice, waiting to unleash itself. Jillian squeezed Harold's arm, her eyes darting between the man and the crowd. We're not afraid of truth, she shouted, trying to rally herself and him within the chaos. Yet her voice faltered beneath the oppressive weight of the revelation that loomed over them. Are you sure? The man mused. What if I told you the truth shatters everything you believe? His words echoed in the sudden stillness, sparking tension. Before Harold could respond, a grotesque shriek pierced the air from the back, slashing through the fragile calm like a knife. It sent a wave of fear cascading among the crowd. People staggered back, eyes wide with horror. More screams followed, a chorus of dread and uncertainty, each voice bouncing off the walls, filling the space with an overwhelming wave of despair. Enough! The man snapped, raising a hand. The crowd fell silent, drawn in by an unseen force, as he turned his attention back to Harold and Jillian. You wish to flee into the night? Or do you want to embrace what lies ahead? Why us? Harold shouted, desperation in his tone. What do we have to do with your twisted game? The man leaned in closer, and Harold felt Jillian tense beside him. You've always doubted the common man, haven't you? Your philosophies, your theories, they've grown and morphed, but at the cost of truth. His eyes sparkled with malicious delight as he spoke. And tonight, I'll show you the price of ignorance. As he raised his arm dramatically, the room erupted in chaos once again. The lights flickered violently, shadows elongating and twisting, forming grotesque shapes that lunged toward the crowd. Harold's heart pounded as he watched faces twist in panic. Jillian, he shouted, gripping her shoulders as darkness closed in. We need to find a way out now. But she stood frozen, staring at the man who began to laugh, low and chilling, the sound echoing through the raucous turmoil. It felt as if his laughter was a spell, binding them to their horror. "Flee if you wish," the man continued, voice dripping with venom. "But you can never escape the truth. It will always catch you in the end, just like the fear that drives you." From the shadows surrounding them, figures began to move, creeping closer, blocking any chance of exit. Harold could feel his vision narrowing, the chaos fading into a blur as they became trapped in an inescapable web. Harold sucked in a breath, adrenaline roaring through him. If they didn't find an exit, they would be consumed by this darkness, this fear, and the truth would claw its way into their very being, unwilling to let go. "Jillian," he cried, but the crowd began to surge like a wave. Before he could make sense of it, he felt himself pushed forward, colliding into a figure. "Get to the back," a voice hollered amidst the tumult, but when Harold looked back to Jillian, she was gone, lost in the sea of panic, and then, without warning, the floor shuddered beneath him, a palpable shift in reality that sent him sprawling. The lights dimmed further, leaving only a narrow shaft of illumination that highlighted a looming door. The choice was clear, and yet, it came with an eerie whisper that echoed through his mind. Did they dare escape? The surge of the crowd threatened to swallow him whole as he clawed his way to his feet, determination igniting within him. He couldn't leave Jillian behind. Not now, not ever. His heart thundered louder than the chaos around him as he aimed for the door, uncertainty gnawing at the edges of his resolve. Would they truly find freedom, or would it lead them deeper into the nightmare that had only just begun? As he reached for the door handle, a shadow loomed at the edge of the light. Was this the way out, or was it the beginning of their downfall? The true answer lay just beyond the threshold, waiting with sinister patience. Harold reached for the door, fingers trembling as he grasped the cold handle, heart racing like a drum in the chaos. The shadow lingered at the fringe of the light, dark and foreboding, a figure that oozed malevolence. It stepped closer, illuminating its face in the dim glow, twisted features, eyes glowing with an unsettling hunger. Panic shot through Harold. He released the handle and stepped back, the crowd's restless energy surging like an unforgiving tide. He could hear their breath sharp and rapid, the desperation thick in the air. "Jillian," he bellowed again, but the word fell flat. Where was she? The figuring inhaled deeply, its smile spreading impossibly wide, as if anticipating something monumental. Harold it cooed, the voice a sickly sweet lure. "Do you truly believe you can escape? The truth binds you, just as it binds all of us." Harold felt the weight of its words. The torment of a truth he had long avoided clawed at the corners of his mind. They had always dissected ideas, pulled apart philosophies. Yet in this moment of life and death, seeing Jillian's frightened face slip away into the darkness unsettled him more profoundly than any text ever could. "Shut up," he snapped, teeth clenched. "You don't own me. You don't own anyone here." But the tremor in his voice betrayed the fear rooting itself deep in him. The figure rolled its eyes in dramatic feigned annoyance. "Oh, Harold," it whispered, the amusement dripping from its tone. "You cling to defiance as if it's a shield, protecting you from confronting the horror of your own denial." Just then, a horrible shriek erupted from the back of the room. Another victim caught in the wave of chaos. It sent shivers down Harold's spine, coursing through him like ice water. He dared a glance behind. Silhouettes writhed in a dance of agony. Something terrible was happening, and the cries were far worse than he ever imagined. His pulse raced. Harold turned to the door again, its light flickering like a false promise. "Jillian," he shouted for what felt like the 1,000th time, but there was no answer. The crowd swarmed around him, people grabbing at him as they stumbled backward in dread. The malevolent shadow laughed, a shrill sound that echoed in Harold's ears. "Join the dance, Harold. It's freeing when you understand that fear is not the enemy, it's the truth you should seek." Harold recoiled, taking a step back, glancing toward the door, and then back to the dark figure. Fear had him firmly gripped, but a fire ignited inside him. "What do you want?" he demanded, fists tight at his sides. "I want you to face your realities, Harold. The truths you deny govern your life more than you know. With every word, darkness pressed in, but the urging cry of his heart pushed harder. No, I won't fall for your games. It struck him like a bolt of lightning, a possibility, a shred of hope. If the truth was his prison, maybe discovering it was the key. I will find her, he shouted, defiance swelling inside him. Without thinking, he rushed toward the door, jostling through the chaotic crowd. The figures pressed around him, faces twisted in horror or ecstasy. As he barreled toward the narrow shaft of light, a chilling laugh echoed behind him. Run, Harold. But the moment the truth finds you, it will devour everything you hold dear. The door stood ajar, revealing a sliver of hope and escape from the clutches of dread. He grasped the handle with shaky hands and yanked the door open wide. A blinding light spilling from the other side flooded his senses. But just as he stepped through, arms reaching out from the darkness clutched at him, pulling him back into the deep unknown. Would he entwine with the shadows, or emerge into the blinding light? The haunting echo of Gillian's voice pulled him forward. But would he reach her in time? What lay beyond that door remained shrouded in mystery, and all Harold could do was hope the truth awaited him. But it was a monstrous reckoning he feared. The moment Harold crossed the threshold, a searing pain pierced through him, like 1,000 needles stabbing at his soul. The world shifted, blurring the line between fear and reality. He stumbled forward, landing hard on a cold, unyielding surface. The light pulsed around him, blinding and disorienting, and for a moment, he couldn't tell where he was or what had happened. He scrambled to his feet, vision clearing just enough to reveal the vast, cavernous space he had entered. The once familiar walls of his classroom were gone, replaced by jagged stone that twisted and writhed as if alive. Shadows lurked in every crevice, whispering his name, seducing him with promises of despair and understanding. Gillian. His voice echoed back, hollow and desperate. There was only silence, the kind that gripped tight, eager for the sound of a heartbeat to shatter it. The ground beneath him pulsed, as though it cradled the weight of memories long buried. Harold took a cautious step forward, and the air crackled with a sharp intensity, each breath a battle against the oppressive darkness that threatened to swallow him whole. Distant screams echoed, woven into the very fabric of this horrifying place, pulling on his heart. "Leave her out of this," he shouted into the void, shaking with rage. But the shadows only laughed, a cacophony of twisted voices twisting together to form a mocking chorus. "Can't you see, Harold? This salvation isn't meant for the weak. You want the truth? Then you must face every shred of your existence, even the parts you desperately hide." He pressed forward, heart racing. The deeper he tread, the more he felt the suffocating weight of regret and sorrow crushing him. Memories flashed like strobe lights, moments spent in laughter with Gillian. Laughter that was now choked by something dark lurking just out of reach. Each step bore the burden of unspoken words, opportunities lost, and fears nurtured. Suddenly, he spotted a flicker of movement in the distance, a silhouette woven into the shadows. "Gillian!" The call escaped his lips, fierce and raw. As he drew closer, the figure flickered in and out, much like hope in the darkest moments. Harold felt his pulse quicken. It was her, clad in shadows, her expression twisted with uncertainty. "Harold," she whispered, her voice swallowed by the void. "You should have stayed away." "No," he cried, anguish crashing over him like a wave. "I won't abandon you. Whatever it is, we can fight it together." The shadows around her contorted, snarling and writhing, as if they fed off the desperation of his words. "You don't understand. You have to confront the truth, Harold. It's not just about me." An icy shiver crawled up his spine. What truth could be so important? What reality was she trapped within? Harold reached for her, but the shadows lunged, angry and fierce. Tendrils of darkness shot out, wrapping around him, dragging him backward. He struggled, breath stolen by panic. "Face it. You must face the truth." Gillian's figure flickered again, and he could see fear replacing her warmth, her eyes pleading. "No," he yelled, fighting the grip of the shadows. but it felt like drowning in an ocean of despair. Just as he fought against the tide, a blinding light began to pierce through the darkness. He felt it push away the shadows, the false comfort they offered shattering like glass. Harold clutched at the light, heart pounding as hope rushed back. But before he could reach it, the darkness roared, swamping over him like a whirlpool. The truth seeks you, Harold. The truth always finds you. And when it does, he could feel it surging, a force that promised pain and liberation. What will you sacrifice? The voices taunted, echoing in his mind. With his heart pounding in his chest and tears blurring his vision, Harold screamed, I will not be lost. Could he push past the shadows, past the truth that haunted him, and reach Gillian before it was too late? The battle was only beginning, and the price exacted by the truth remained a mystery yet to unfold. The shadows wrapped tighter around Harold, their cold tendrils latching onto his limbs, forcing him down into a void that pulsed with a manic energy. He could feel their sinister whispers weaving into his thoughts, coaxing him to surrender, to let go of the fight. Fear twisted in his stomach, gnawing at his resolve. Gillian! He called again, desperation rising in his throat like bile. The darkness hissed, feeding on his despair, and the flicker of her presence dimmed. She was slipping away one agonizing moment at a time. Suddenly, the blinding light surged again, cutting through the murky gloom, illuminating the jagged stones surrounding him. Harold's heart thrummed in time with the pulse of the light demanding, fierce, unwavering. There was a way out. He could feel it. The shadows shrieked, recoiling at the warmth that threatened their hold. With a roar, Harold broke free from their grasp, propelled by the surge of hope. He charged forward, each step gaining momentum as the shadows howled in fury behind him. He reached for the light, stretching out his fingers to seize it like a life raft in a stormy sea. Harold! Gillian's voice echoed, suddenly clearer. The shadows paused, their grip loosening slightly. His breath caught in his throat. This was his chance. Keep talking. He strained to hear her, his chest tightening with urgency. You have to break their hold. The darkness writhed, furious at the sound of her name. Do you not see, Harold? They taunted, their voices snarling in unison. Her name is a key that can unlock the lies you've embraced. Face the truth and everything changes. Doubt clawed at him, but he couldn't lose her again. What truth? What do you want from me? He shouted, his voice echoing back in the oppressive silence. You must confront your past, your failures, said the shadows, their tone morphing, enticing him with the promise of acceptance. Only then can you reach her. A chilling thought struck him. His failures hung heavy around his neck, a noose made of regret. They were the shackles that had bound him, always striving for perfection, always afraid of being seen as weak. But they were his burdens, not Gillian's. No, he roared, a newfound strength coursing through him. I won't let you use her against me. The shadows recoiled at his defiance, and he felt the light glowing brighter, filling the icy void with warmth. Gillian! Harold shouted again, and this time, the shadows tensed, their hold faltering even more. I'm here. I won't let you go. Gillian's figure materialized again, her face clear but strained, shadows clawing at her edges. You have to believe in yourself. Trust that you can conquer this, please. Remember everything we fought for. A pulse of recognition washed over him, flooding his mind with memories, her laughter, the warmth of her embrace, the dreams they had spun together. They burned like fire in his chest, igniting his soul. I want to fight for us, he declared, drawing the energy from their shared experiences. The light erupted, consuming the darkness and pushing it back as though repelled by a violent surge. Then let it go, Gillian cried, her voice a melody amid the chaos. With a final push, Harold channeled every ounce of fear, every shadowy doubt, into one singular act of defiance. I choose to live. I choose hope. A brilliant flash erupted, illuminating every corner of the cavern. The shadows screamed, unraveling as the light devoured them whole. In that powerful moment, Harold felt Jillian's warmth wrap around him like a blanket, bathing him in love and light. But just as quickly as the darkness faded, he found himself teetering on the edge of a new abyss. The light dulled, revealing a new reality, a mirror reflecting his deepest fears. Eyes wide, Harold realized he hadn't escaped. He had simply entered the next phase of his journey. What have I done? He whispered as the ground shook beneath him, the shadows threatening to rise once again, more sinister than before. The price of the truth was steep, and he was about to pay it. What awaited him on the other side of this struggle? And as the darkness encroached once more, a single question seeped into his mind. What sacrifice does he truly have to make to save Jillian this time? Harold's heart raced as reality twisted around him. The mirror reflected scenes he wished to forget, nightmares of loss and despair splashed in vibrant colors. Each image clawed at his psyche, taunting him with memories of moments he failed to embrace. Regrets that branded him. He staggered backward, sweat beading on his forehead. Shadows flickered at the edges of the mirror, their sinister forms creeping like oil stains across the glassy surface, feeding off his hesitation. Panic began to weave its way back into his chest, squeezing tighter with each pounding heartbeat. No, he gasped, taking a step closer, unable to look away. Every twisted version of events played out like a cruel theater. Harold saw his father's disappointment in his eyes after failing to secure a promotion, his mother's silent tears when he didn't come home for the holidays, and the last moment he spent with Jillian, lost in half-hearted apologies and unspoken hopes. It was a barrage of his worst fears come to life, relentlessly showing him the man he thought he had left behind. Face it, Harold. The shadows hissed, their voices a chilling chorus. They grew bolder, swirling like smoke around him. You cannot hide from your past. How do you expect to save her when you refuse to acknowledge your own failures? The shadows scraped against the walls of his resolve, igniting that familiar tug of despair. He clenched his fists, feeling the weight of the truth pressing down on him. They were all around him now, trying to pull him back into darkness. But he had chosen the light. He had fought back once. I'm not that man anymore, Harold shouted, his voice cracking against the echoing walls. I am more than my failures. A shimmer of light flickered beside him, warm and inviting. Jillian's presence pulsed brighter than the shadows that sought to drown them both. Harold, please, she urged, a desperate longing etched across her face. Believe in the person you've become. This is your battle. Her words ignited something deep within him. The warmth of their shared love surged through his veins, and he took a deep breath. I might have failed before, but I am not defined by those moments, Harold proclaimed, defiance rising like a tide. The mirror shattered, the fragments exploding into a kaleidoscope of brilliant light. Each piece of glass released a memory, joyous laughter interspersed with pain, love woven with failure. For the first time, instead of cringing away, Harold embraced each recollection with a resolve that made his heart thunder. Yet, something shifted in the air. The energy around him darkened, an ominous shift that sent cold fear racing up his spine. The shadows recoiled for a moment, hissing in fury, then reformed into a towering figure cloaked in darkness, a monstrous embodiment of his every fear. Foolish mortal, it roared. You think you can escape me? I am birthed from your essence. Your failure will always come back, as will your regret. The ground shook violently beneath him, splitting open like the jaws of a ravenous beast. Harold stumbled, barely holding his balance. In that terrifying moment, Harold understood this wasn't just a reflection of his fears. It was the manifestation of everything he had ever avoided. With steely determination, Harold yelled over the roar of the swirling chaos, "You're wrong. I am choosing to confront you." The shadows gathered in a frenzy, swirling faster, ready to pounce. But the remnants of light glinted in his eyes. What sacrifice would he have to make? Was it his identity? Would relinquishing his old self free Jillian? A loud, thunderous howl erupted from the creature, echoing through the darkness. Harold's mind raced. He had to make a choice. Would he fight to recover what truly belonged to him, or would he let the shadows drown him once again? As the monster lunged forward, teeth bared and dripping with darkness, Arold's heart pounded not just with fear, but with a deep-seated rage against the very thing that sought to define him. "Bring it on," he shouted defiantly, knowing the fight was far from over. The final battle was only just beginning. What awaited him in the depths of this confrontation? Was he ready to face the true cost of his redemption? Arold braced himself, adrenaline surging as the creature's shadowy claws raked through the very air around him. Time slowed, each heartbeat thrumming louder, a drum signaling the onset of war. He could already feel the heat of the monstrous wrath radiating toward him, suffocating in its proximity. The world twisted as he stared into those soulless eyes, reflections of his deepest fears swirling in their depths. "You think anger gives you strength, Arold?" The beast taunted, its voice slithering through the air like poison. "Is it not your grief that has always held the most power over you?" "No," he roared. "Grief is a part of me, but it doesn't control me anymore." With every ounce of will, he focused on the light sparking within his heart, the love he felt for Jillian, the hope of a brighter future. It burned fiercely, igniting the courage nestled deep in his chest. He channeled that light, extending his arms wide, ready to meet the monster head-on, to claim his true self. But the creature laughed, a thunderous sound that cracked like thunder overhead. "You are still a failure, Arold. What will you do when you see her again, burdened with your own ineptitude?" A hot wave of doubt washed over him, pushing him back. Memories flashed in rapid succession, the looks of disappointment, the moments he intentionally avoided connection, the times he let fear silence his voice. Doubt gripped like icy hands, tugging at his resolve. "Prove me wrong," the figure snarled, lunging forth as the ground beneath Arold's feet shifted violently, the abyss widening, a gaping mouth hungry to swallow him whole. He stumbled but caught himself. "I can't let you win," he shouted, gritting his teeth, pushing through the hopelessness. With each step forward, he felt the weight of his past dropping away, no longer a chain but stepping stones propelling him toward growth. "I won't let you take her from me again." The darkness surged, slashing through the space around him, scattering shards of despair that scraped against his skin like knives. But unlike before, there was no retreat. He pressed onward, embracing the fragments of his existence, acknowledging the storms that had shaped him. As he moved, the creature hesitated. For a fleeting moment, doubt crossed its monstrous face. "You are not strong enough," it roared fiercely, but Arold saw the flicker of uncertainty beneath its surface. "I am enough," Arold screamed, his voice resonating through the abyss. Every part of him felt alive, so electric with determination that it pierced through the threats like beams of sunlight shattering clouds. "I will fight for Jillian and for myself." The creature hesitated again, uncertainty rippling across its dark form, revealing cracks that began to glow with an inner light. "No," it howled, trying to regain its power. A fire ignited within him, blindingly bright, and with a powerful leap, Arold surged forward, both arms outstretched, embracing the light that coursed through him. The shadows shrieked in agony, tearing at the fabric of the dark creature, as it began to splinter and dissolve. In a heart-stopping moment, everything around him erupted into a vortex of light and darkness, twisting violently as Arold did not waver. He felt alive, truly alive, and instinctively understood that this was just the beginning of his journey. Yet, in the chaos, something shifted. An echoing whisper clawed at his senses, slicing through the tumult. "You have faced me, Arold, but you have not faced her truth. The shadows will always linger." What haunting revelation awaited him on the other side? Would Jillian still be within his reach, or would this battle of shadows lead him to a darker truth he wasn't prepared to uncover? Arold's heart raced as his surroundings transformed into swirling colors of light and shadow. The echoing whisper hung in the air, lacing itself around his thoughts, wrapping tighter and tighter. "What do you mean?" he barked, desperate for clarity, for a way to save Jillian and himself. "Her truth is lost within you," the darkness teased, reforming itself into a familiar shape, Jillian's silhouette, flickering like a flame barely held against the wind. You think you can battle me and ignore your conflicts with her? You're wrong. No. He refused to accept it. Jillian's face was crystal clear, shimmering like a beacon in the tumult of shadows. She has not lost. I fight for her. The grotesque shadow laughed, a cacophony that ricocheted in his mind. But are you ready to confront the very reasons you both fled from each other? You must understand your truth, Arold, if you wish to bring hers back. He hesitated, fear creeping back in. An image flashed a night thick with tension, their last argument framed by a stark silence that left a gaping wound in his heart. The words they never spoke lingered like ghostly stares, holding pain he thought he deburied. I didn't mean to hurt her, he whispered, regret washing over him like icy rain. Precisely. Your fear of vulnerability kept you apart. Can you face that truth? Or will you defer to the shadows? It taunted, dark hands reaching for him, ready to pull him back down into despair. Feeling the tug of darkness on his soul, Arold kicked back, a force of will surging through him. I won't let fear control my life. Not anymore. The spirit of determination flared like a blaze, lighting his path. But the shadow's voice echoed around him, deeper now. Every moment you froze, every unspoken thought, every denial, those are your chains. You must recognize your failures to break free. I won't be defined by my mistakes, he shouted back defiantly, grappling with the panic bubbling inside. It was easier to shout, to reclaim that power. Yet he knew the truth of his failures and regrets lay beyond a door he had avoided for too long. The shadows leaned closer, quivering with anticipation, and a flood of memories swept over him. Jillian's laughter morphing into a hesitant silence, the lies he fed himself to navigate through their arguments, the moments when opening his heart felt like standing on the edge of infinity. Arold, please. The plea rang clear as if Jillian was there, just beyond the curtain of shadows. You have to remember me. Don't lose me again. His breath hitched painfully in his throat. Stop. I won't let the darkness take you. Arold's fingers curled into fists at his sides, anxiety laced with resolve. I'll confront my truth for us. The shadow quivered, the tension electric in the air. He took a deep breath, grounding himself in the love he felt for Jillian, the hope that twinkled beyond the darkness. It sparked in his chest, burning away the shadows trapping him in chaos. I'm ready. He lunged forward, his voice roaring louder than the shadows. I choose to confront my failures. I choose to face the truth of my soul. The cocoon of darkness shrieked, recoiling as the light within him ignited. Each moment of doubt evaporated as he recalled tender memories Jillian's support, the dreams they imagined, the laughter they shared overflowing with possibility. It was impossible to catch every shadow, but he took each imperfect memory and lifted it up, refusing to let them bind him any longer. Suddenly, a bright beam of light speared through the darkness, showcasing Jillian's face. Her eyes, once filled with doubt, now glimmered with pride and fierce determination. You did it, Arold. You found your strength. Their connection flared alive, knitting the memories together like threads interwoven in a tapestry of hope. The monstrous form began to fracture, fractals of darkness shattering against the brilliance of light emanating from their bond as the beast howled. Trying to maintain its shape, Arold shouted, I won't let my fears defeat me. I won't hold onto the chains of regret. With a final push of will, he embraced the warmth, giving everything he had left to protect the love that threaded them together. The light burst forth, blinding and pure, engulfing the darkness until all that remained was a fleeting whisper. You may have found victory today, but my shadows will forever linger in the depths of your choices. But Arold chose to let the echoes fade, the last remnants of despair melting under the glowing warmth of possibility. The world around him transformed, colors blooming vibrantly around him as he stood hand in hand with Jillian, her radiant smile the fire that sparked his heart. They stood beneath an endless sky, vast and open, the weight of their battles ebbing away at last. Together, we faced our fears, Arold said, relief flooding his voice. Together, Jillian echoed, their bond stronger than any shadow. The night thick with struggle had faded, and in its place lay an unknown dawn filled with promise. As they turned to face it, warmth spread through Harold like sunbeams breaking through clouds. He was ready for the next chapter, ready to explore the world hand in hand with Gillian, unafraid of the truths that lay ahead. With that realization, Harold knew they had not just survived, they had transformed. The shadows might still linger, but the light they had forged together made all the difference. And as they stepped forward into the warm sunlit horizon, he couldn't help but think, this is just the beginning. You need to subscribe now. Don't miss a single exclusive story as we explore more incredible journeys together. Smash that like button now, feed the algorithm, and keep this community thriving. Flood the comments section with your thoughts, reactions, and theories about how Harold and Gillian conquered their fears. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this epic conclusion. It's time to show your support.